Imagine living in a place where freedom is just a distant dream, where even the mere thought of escaping can cost not only your life, but also the lives of your entire family. This is everyday life in North Korea, one of the world's most brutal and isolated regimes. In this video, we're diving into the harsh reality of this country, exploring unbelievable stories of courage and desperation. You'll learn about the impossible escape routes, the unimaginable risks faced by defectors, and how a few brave souls managed to defy all odds. Stay with us to discover how these extraordinary journeys reveal not only the cruelty of an oppressive regime, but also the incredible resilience of the human spirit. Get ready for an intense and moving journey that goes far beyond the headlines. North Korea is a country like no other in today's world. Without exaggeration, it offers a 21st century glimpse of what Nazi Germany might have looked like if it had survived past 1945. It is the most severe totalitarian regime in the world, demanding absolute loyalty. Even the smallest hint of disloyalty toward the nation's supreme leader can land you in one of the regime's many concentration camps for life, where you can expect a horrific fate of starvation, forced labor, live medical experimentation, constant torture, and random executions. There is no due process or human rights in North Korea, and hundreds of thousands of people endure this hell every day. This isn't history. It's happening right now as you watch this video and listen to my voice. If you were trapped in this real-life nightmare, you'd want to escape. The problem is that North Korea is, without a doubt, the hardest country in the world to escape from. The penalty for attempting to leave is treason, which leads to the camps and often death. Even if you do manage to escape, the North Korean regime usually goes after the family members left behind. This means that your spouse, children, parents, and even grandparents can be imprisoned and sent to a life of horror in one of the camps if they didn't escape with you. For many, this alone is enough to keep them in line. But if you've made up your mind to leave, regardless of the risks and consequences, there are a few ways to do it. Unfortunately, none of them are easy, and each has its own geographic challenges. The most obvious destination to escape to is South Korea, the exact opposite of North Korea, a free, liberal, and wealthy democracy. South Korea claims legal authority over the entire Korean peninsula and considers all 26 million North Korean citizens as its own. This means that if you can make it there, you're guaranteed citizenship and a future. However, crossing this short distance from the north to the south side of the peninsula is likely the hardest journey a human being can make in the 21st century. Walking directly across the southern border is almost impossible because it's the most heavily militarized location on the planet. It's entirely covered with tall walls, electrified barbed wire, millions of landmines, and guarded by millions of soldiers with live ammunition, who have strict orders to shoot to kill anyone attempting to cross. Although this route may be the fastest, it's also the most dangerous and risky. Your chances of success are low, but despite this, many have still tried and succeeded. In 2017, a North Korean man drove his car straight to the military demarcation line between the two countries at the border, crashed, and ran across the line while North Korean border guards fired a hail of machine gun bullets at him. He collapsed on the South Korean side behind a wall before being rescued. He was shot 5 times and lost half his blood during the attempt, but he survived and now lives in the South. For most people, however, attempting a direct escape south like this is far too risky, so they look for alternatives. While the southern border is nearly impenetrable, the east and west sides are ocean-covered, presenting their own challenges. Buying a boat and escaping this way is impossible, as most North Koreans are severely impoverished and can't afford a boat. Even if you had the money, the risk is high. For most, that leaves swimming towards South Korea, bringing with it the risks of drowning or being caught by North Korean patrol boats. In 2016, a man named Chul Yun-lee, a high-ranking member of North Korea's Ministry of State Security, decided to defect with a friend using this method. They bought a motorcycle tire, an air pump, and some food, and went to the western side, just behind the demilitarized zone. As the sun set, they dove into the water and began swimming. Unfortunately, the air pump failed, and they had to rely on their backpacks for flotation. They swam for over 4 hours in the dark until they saw an unidentified boat approaching. Fearing it was a North Korean patrol, they swam to a small island and waited. It was cold, and they had little clothing, but they managed to find some trash to insulate themselves. When the sun rose, they found wooden pallets, tied them together into a makeshift raft, and set back out to sea. Luckily, they were now beyond the South Korean border, and South Korean ships quickly rescued them. They were successful, but many others have not been. For most people, trying to escape directly to South Korea will likely result in death or capture. This leaves the option of reaching South Korea indirectly through another country. There are 3 other countries close to North Korea besides South Korea: Japan, Russia, and China. Japan is the best option because you'll guarantee your freedom and be sent to South Korea. But crossing the Sea of Japan is dangerous and prone to typhoons. There are only 3 confirmed cases of successful North Korean defectors reaching Japan, so it's better to look north. The border with Russia is only 17 kilometers wide along the Tumen River and is easily patrolled. Even if you cross it, Russia's policy is to deport all North Korean refugees back to North Korea. Hypothetically, you could reach the South Korean consulate in Vladivostok, but getting there undetected by Russian authorities is nearly impossible. This makes escaping to China the most popular and least risky option. The border with China stretches over 1,300 kilometers and follows the Yalu and Tumen rivers, which flow through remote, mountainous terrain. Border patrols and security are lighter here, making it easier to cross during summer when the river is shallow or in winter when it's frozen. Getting into China is relatively easy, but China isn't safe, as it, like Russia, deports all North Korean defectors back to North Korea. However, many of China's border provinces, such as Yanbian, have significant naturalized ethnic Korean populations, making it easier to hide while you plan your next move. Working with a foreign broker to help you escape can cost up to $18,000, an absolute fortune when the average North Korean earns only about $1,300 per year. If you have the means, a broker might be a good option. But if not, your next best bet is to continue to Shenyang, where the nearest South Korean consulate in China is located. If you can reach it and get inside, you'll be safe. However, it's about 200 kilometers from the North Korean border, and the perimeter is heavily guarded by Chinese police. If you're caught, it's over. In 2004, a group of 44 North Korean defectors stormed the Canadian embassy in Beijing all at once, disguised as construction workers to avoid detection. They used ladders to scale the walls and made it to safety. Since then, though, China has increased police presence and security around foreign embassies, especially South Korean ones, making this approach more challenging now. You would need to cross China to another friendly country, but China is vast, and neighboring countries like Vietnam, Laos, and Myanmar maintain close ties with Pyongyang and would likely deport you back to North Korea if caught. That leaves only 2 realistic and friendly destinations: Mongolia or Thailand. Mongolia is closer and sympathetic to North Korean defectors, deporting them to South Korea rather than the North. However, reaching it means crossing the Gobi Desert, one of the largest deserts in the world, with dangerous wildlife and extreme temperatures. Navigating the Gobi requires skills likely not learned in North Korea, but some have managed to succeed. In 2007, Park Yeon-mi and her mother escaped across the northern border into China, crossing the frozen Tumen River. Due to China's deportation policy, they couldn't find legal work and fell into the hands of human traffickers. After months of living in hiding, they reached Qingdao and found a Christian mission shelter. After nearly 2 years in hiding, they received help from missionaries and human rights activists to flee to Mongolia. They successfully navigated the Gobi Desert and reached the Mongolian border, where they were intercepted by guards who threatened to send them back to China. Desperate, they drew knives and threatened to kill themselves. The guards took pity and brought them to Ulaanbaatar before flying them to Seoul. For most people, navigating the Gobi Desert is too challenging, making Thailand a more popular route. Traveling by train or bus across China to Thailand is an option. However, China and Thailand don't share a border, so you'll need to cross Yunnan's mountainous terrain and then the jungles of Laos or Myanmar before crossing the Mekong River to safety. In 2017, Park Hyun-woo and his father decided to escape North Korea. Both of Park's sisters had already made it to the south and were sending money back to the north. After securing a broker in China, they crossed the frozen Tumen River, carrying rat poison to use if they were caught. They changed clothes and took a series of trains and buses to Kunming. There, Chinese authorities discovered them, and Park and his father fled. Park continued on foot through the Laotian jungle, eventually reaching the Mekong River. He crossed and surrendered to Thai police, who handed him over to South Korean officials. His father was caught by Chinese police and sent to a prison near the North Korean border. After being released, he made his way to Vietnam and evaded detection, finally flying to Seoul. This journey took a year and a half and covered more than 8,000 kilometers. These are the only available routes for the average North Korean trapped inside the country. All of them are difficult and desperate, and sometimes even reaching South Korea doesn't guarantee safety. In 2002, Jin Gyong-suk defected to the south, became a citizen, and married a South Korean. In 2004, while filming a documentary near the China-North Korea border, unidentified men kidnapped her and took her back to North Korea, where she was tortured and executed. Escaping from North Korea is never easy, and even if you manage to leave, you could still be dragged back and killed. There are countless stories of heroic people who defied the odds and escaped. What makes North Korea so fascinating is that this isn't history. You're not hearing something from the 1940s, but rather events that could have happened yesterday. The Cold War may have ended in 1991 elsewhere, but not in Korea. The modern Cold War in Korea is incredibly complex and controversial.